Hi guys, and welcome to Device Discovery 101. We're going to talk about IT, IoT, and OT. So what is IT? That's internet technology. So that's all the devices you're thinking of, like servers, PCs, laptops. What is IoT? Internet of Things, cameras, sensors, printers, wearables, smart TVs, smart devices. OT is operational technology, PLCs, programmer link controllers, human management interface, a lot of industrial devices. So what we do at Cato is we discover these devices when they're on the WAN or internet, and we allow you to detect and identify those and then classify them and then provide security controls around them. But let's talk a little bit more about IT, IoT, and OT. All right, let's get going. So some examples of the devices, very high level, but industrial robots, PLCs, controllers, a simple computer, Linux, Windows, doesn't matter, a camera, connected vehicle. These are all IoT, OT, or IT devices, right? So there's so many devices going on in our infrastructure, it's hard to understand what should be there, what shouldn't be there. And when there's an anonymous device or something you don't know, it's important to discover that, classify it, and ensure it doesn't have access to your critical infrastructure. So why does this matter? There's a lot of common threats for IoT and OT technology. Internet exposed and default credentials. So if you've got operational technology or IT technology that can be publicly reached, a lot of the times the default credentials on those devices don't get updated. Security is usually not the first and foremost on those devices when their firmware is developed. They're typically older legacy devices, so it becomes easier to attack them. So we really got to ensure that those aren't exposed, that our risk exposure is low. So that in Cato, we can help that by discovering and identifying those risks. Using network equipment, edge devices, SOHO routers, a lot of times when you have legacy equipment, the firmware hasn't been updated or it's old or end of life, those can be used in attacks. And a lot of times when you discover those and they're internet exposed, attackers will go off there and live off the land on those devices. So at Cato, we can discover what networking equipment that we see, and then you can understand, all right, should I patch that, update that, or move that out of my systems. Botnets and hypervolumetric DDoS. So a lot of these IoT devices, smart TVs, other things, are used in DDoS attacks. So they'll be taken over, they'll be compromised, and they're used for mass scale DDoS. So you don't want to be a part of that. So understanding where your devices are communicating, how they're communicating, and to what is very important. And at Cato, we help that. So let's get into a little bit about Cato here. So in the IoT, OT security, you can discover, monitor, manage devices connected to your network. The device inventory engine analyzes WAN bound and internet traffic to detect, identify, and classify. It automatically identifies it, and we use AI and flow telemetry data to understand what the device is and what it's doing. So it's completely agentless for you. So some of the best practices for detection accuracy, and I'll talk about this in future lessons, make sure you have TLS inspection enabled. That's a best practice in Cato. And then make sure that the Cato Cloud is acting as your DHCP server. That way we can see MAC translation for vendor identification. And just some examples to increase that why. Iranian saboteurs hacking water and gas systems worldwide. So this is on Wired Magazine. So critical infrastructure, most likely PLCs or HMIs or industrial controllers used in this attack. And then just another example, Google has been pursuing legal action against the Badbox 2.0 creators. They used the largest known botnet to go after internet-connected TVs that were running Android. So Android's unpatched on these internet TVs, or maybe the OS didn't keep up to date. So they're able to be internet exposed for streaming and other things. Maybe this is in a conference room that you have, and then they were able to be taken over and used in these botnet attacks. All right, guys, so in summary, in Device Discovery 101, we talked about what IT, IoT, and OT is and some of the whys around those devices. Thanks so much, and I look forward to future lessons.